So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this video. Today we're going to be talking about biohacking, sleep, and peak performance, how I've actually gone ahead and been able to achieve such extraordinary results that people look at, they're baffled, they're, how the hell have you done this in 19? And you know, there's a lot that goes into it, but there's a lot of fundamentals that a lot of people look over, and you know, there's this entrepreneur spirit, which is just like, this is just the dumbest shit I've ever heard. You know, I'll sleep, I see this all the time, I'll sleep when I'm dead. You know, I love that one. You know, I'll sleep when I'm dead, or you know, it's all about the hustle and grind. It's
Gary V.
You know, it's always the people, and it's always that mentality. It's always those people that I've seen that are always the brokest. And keep in mind, this guy has sleep stats of people making 5K a month and making 300K a month. So he knows that the people that sleep the most are the ones that make the most money. But anyways, point is, if you don't know who this is Billy Harris. I call him the Protector. In my circle, in my company, we call him Billy the Protector Harris. You want to tell me a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, so I've been working with Iman now for a period of around, how many months now? 14 months or so, year and a bit. Yeah, so I came in to obviously optimize his health, his sleep, and then as a result of that, correlate that in terms of business performance. So that came about a year ago, and then from there, I've been working with him ever since, pretty much every day. And then from there, then started to work with other individuals like Iman, primarily in digital space, and obviously to then optimize their health, their performance, correlate that with more business success, and then, build out the systems with that being said.
Yeah, so somewhere around May of last year, I was waking up at 5:30 a.m. every morning. And you know, it'd be tough. I'd wake up around like, you know, I mean, when I first started waking up early, it was so damn hard to actually do. Then I built a bit of like a morning routine, and like I implemented things like alarm me, wake up light, like stuff that literally just, it was almost impossible to not wake up with that sort of stuff. But even with all that stuff in place, and even, you know, the discipline and the willpower I have, you know, I'd still wake up probably at 5:30, maybe 75-ish% of the time. And that extra 25% of the time where, you know, in my mind, in the morning, I'd come up with a reason as to why I need to stay in bed an extra hour and a half, and it was a good idea. You know, to me, that just wasn't okay. So I started looking for a personal trainer, someone who would come to my house, literally come to my house, wake me up, take me to the gym, and train me. And had a lot of applications come through, and you know, Billy was by far the one that understood what I was doing and what I was trying to accomplish. And I've been very lucky over the space of you know, the last year. You know, Billy, when he first started working with me, he was literally still working in a gym, right? And over the space of the last 14 months, I've been very fortunate that even though Billy's gone from working in the gym to, can I tell him how your business is doing?
Yeah.
You know, literally going from working in the gym to, in the space of 14 months, going from working in the gym to making 20 grand a month profit. Once again, very important key number. We always talk about profit on this channel, you know, profit a month. I've been very lucky that over that time, he's still stuck by me. And you know, I'm still the one client that he sees every morning, wakes me up, or makes sure that I'm woken up.
Bright and early.
And yeah, so now what Billy's gone ahead and he's done is he's transitioned into working with other people like me, you know, other people who are doing 10K a month, 20K a month, 50K a month, 100K a month, et cetera, and really, you know, really those entrepreneurs who block out all the noise, block out all the crap on social media, block out this sort of hustle mentality, and really realize that like the most important thing is not how much time you put in, how much you claim to be hustling or working, it's your output and your focus within that time, right? And it's basically, it's everything outside of the business that has the biggest correlation to the business. So what are some of the things that you focus on with your clients?
We want to assess the variables that coincide with business performance. So obviously that being said, primarily sleep, nutrition, and then from there, energy and focus throughout the period of a day. So from there, reverse engineering the process in regards to what your goals are with those variables and how that translates into further business success. So what I mean by that, first and foremost, would be as a key element of sleep, ensuring your sleep duration is efficient, then from there, optimizing your sleep metrics as a result of that process. So we have a first hurdle in terms of sleep duration, and then from there, the efficiency in regards to metric data, how we can then further improve your sleep systems, which then correlates into focus, energy, and output with work. So as an example of that, obviously Iman sleeps for roughly 8 to 9 hours per day when we're on the ball in regards to all variables.
Winter definitely 8 to 9 hours.
8 to 9 hours.
Summer probably, and I'm talking like actual sleep, not time in bed, like sleep. Probably summer closer to 7 to 8 hours.
Yeah, but what we must not forget with that being said is that its efficiency of sleep is very, very high. That doesn't necessarily correlate with sleep duration. Okay, so I have individuals who sleep for 6 hours per night and their sleep metrics are incredible. Others who sleep for 9 hours per night when they first start with me and their sleep metrics are pretty poor or they're almost going down the drain. As a result of that, their business performance is pretty minimal or it's not where it should be in that regard. So as Iman said earlier, it's not about working in terms of time duration, but efficiency with that being said. So mastering your sleep is one of the most important variables in terms of then optimizing performance and work, and then from there focus and output as well, especially with energy.
Yeah. And for me, like sleep is probably the biggest thing. Like maybe it's also because I'm young or younger. I feel as though if I eat shitty food when I'm like 40, it's gonna have a bigger effect than here at 19. But like honestly, for me, like sleep, I would take sleep over like nutrition any day. I take sleep over like training any day. Like for me, like if I have crappy food that day for whatever reason, I can still kind of push through. If I don't train that day for whatever reason, I can push through. If I don't get a good night's sleep, I just know my day is just totally messed up.
Yeah, totally. And primarily from a cognitive perspective, in terms of brain function capacity.
100%. And Billy, obviously, you guys know that an old client of mine was Oura Ring. So, myself, pretty much all of Billy's clients, we all have Oura Rings. So he actually comes in and he tracks every variable of sleep every single day. Him and his team track that. For me, I don't know if you do it for any of your other clients. I don't think any of your clients use Muse, but for me, it's the same thing with meditation. We track my meditation, we track my screen time, because the lower the screen time, the better. And that has a direct correlation to the amount of focus I have, and the amount of focus has a direct correlation to the output I have, et cetera. So I think one thing that's definitely like a real mystery for most people is sleep. And we take sleep to, between us, we take sleep to such an intense level where we're looking at like EMF, where I literally just bought this thing for $5,500. What was it? The Newcom, right? And that thing's a beast. It's coming in a couple of days. I'm super excited for it. Don't want to get into that because that stuff's super complicated. What are just like 3 simple, very practical sleep tips that you can give them?
For sure. So you want to observe the lowest hanging fruit in terms of variables. So with that being said, don't focus so much on the supplementation element of things. From there, even obviously then observing things like a bed jet, for example, you want to focus on first and foremost is the basic principles of sleep. So from there, first and foremost, in terms of reverse engineering the process with time duration. So let's say, for example, you're an individual who wants to wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning, get a good start to the day bright and early ahead of the curve, which is most entrepreneurs in this space anyway, kind of the grind mentality, right? What we want to do is reverse engineer that process. So let's say you want to master 7 hours of duration, ensure that your bed start time is at 11 o'clock at night, okay? Now with that being said, your sleep start and your sleep end time are 2 very, very important variables in regards to maximizing your sleep and efficiency with that. Primarily based off your circadian rhythm and the alignment with that too, okay? So if there's disruption in terms of your sleep start and your sleep end times being all over the place on a daily basis, your sleep efficiency is going to be really, really poor for everyone. That's just, no matter who they are, it'll be very, very poor, okay? Primarily from a hormonal standpoint in terms of melatonin production, also cortisol production in the morning, okay? So you want to stay consistent with that. So on the weekends, still establish your sleep start and end times and try to adhere to that within an hour range.
This is something I don't really understand why people sleep, I understand an extra 90 minutes, right? You get another sleep cycle, like if it's, for example, like your day off. But I don't understand people when they sleep in for an extra 4 hours just because it's the weekend.
I mean, it's more of a common thing when working with younger individuals. So for example, Iman is 19. Many individuals at that age would be sleeping in for a crazy period of time in the weekends. And then from there, they'll notice that on the Sunday evening, if they slept in on a Saturday, their sleep routine and rhythm as such has been totally disrupted. So sleep for the rest of the week is awful in terms of quality. As a result of that, output and focus is then really crap. And then the final variable I'd really focus on in terms of 3 key variables would be then utilizing a tool like Oura Ring to then assess your metrics. So without assessment of variables and assessment of efficiency, we have no idea how we can then progress and move forward. It's like saying, I want to make my bank account bigger, but you have no idea where your bank balance is right now. It's simple as that.
That's actually a lot of people though.
A lot of people. And I mean, it's one of those things which seems painful at first in terms of actually observing that and seeing the things that you're weak at and really poor at. But in order to improve that, you have to assess it. So that applies in this variable too.
Yeah, and it's so funny. Like I've even had, just sort of outside of this sphere, I had one of my old clients, and I catch up with, old clients I keep on good terms. And this client was with me, I think 2 years ago at this point. And I kept telling the guy, I'm like, dude, you got to get like an Oura ring or some, form of tracking mechanism. He's like, no, I know I'm getting good sleep. And it's just like, it's always the people who are like, oh, I'm already getting good sleep, or I'm already, if you're watching this right now and you're like, oh, I'm already getting good sleep, or I'm already like, doing well in the gym, or like, my business is already doing good enough, blah, blah. I'm like, I'm making 20K and I'm like 20. It's like, like those are always the people that need it the fucking most. Those are the ones that desperately need it, right? Because the thing is, you don't know what you don't know. And it's like, we've even seen it, right? And I've even, as I said, Billy works with all of my team members as well. So, we've even seen it, or I've even seen it where like, at times I thought my sleep was going to be good, but it's actually shocking. And like, you've seen it, I'm sure, with your clients where like they think their sleep is incredible and they're getting incredible sleep, and then they actually find a way to tangibly track it. Yeah. And it's just like not that at all.
Yeah, there's no consistency or anything like that in terms of efficiency either.
But because it's, you don't know what you don't know, right? You don't like, I guarantee there's people on the other side of this where like you are just giving up, and I pretty much guarantee everyone is just paying too much in taxes. And by that sense, I mean, if you don't, you don't know what you don't know. So if you don't know that you could have been more streamlined and more efficient here, you're literally giving up thousands, multiple five figures for some of you guys, maybe even multiple six figures a year, just because you don't know what you don't know. In the same sense with Billy and the stuff he does, it's like you don't know what you don't know. So, until you actually start getting someone in there, until you start getting someone in there to make it a priority for you and really watch over your numbers like a hawk, you're gonna think you're performing at a high level, and then that paradigm is just gonna be completely obliterated when, as I said, when you get someone like Billy and his team to come in, audit everything, tweak things, see what the results say, tweak it again, see what the results say, and as I said, in 6 months, like you're gonna be, and I've seen it even with his clients, like you're gonna be performing at a level that you wouldn't have even believed was possible. For me, I can literally knock out, and not to say that I do, but I can knock out a 4-hour workday and get more done in those 4 hours than someone, in 12 hours, because that person in 12 hours, their sleep, they might have even slept 7 or 8 hours, but their sleep is just so horrendous. The sleep is so horrendous that, in terms of their willpower, they're giving into things that they shouldn't be. They're checking their phone too much, social media too much, because their willpower is drained because they don't have enough. They don't have enough energy from the night before, etc., etc. They think they're doing well in the gym, yet they're not even performing to the level they could be. There's no structure, there's no plan to their training routine, their nutrition. They're eating shit that like they don't even realize is draining them of energy.
And even if they have a system and a strategy in place, being held accountable to that is a different matter. So from there, if you have all variables that you think are correlating with your goals, but you don't have anyone to assess that from a third eye perspective, then there's quite frankly, there's an area of room where you can grow, or there's certain capacity for growth. With that being said, I think that's really important to assess as well.
And I think it's super important, the fact that like, if I get a crap night's sleep, he's on it, right? He's on it in a flash. If I don't meditate, he's on it in a flash. I can't hide. You know what I mean? Like back before I could hide. But when you have someone looking at your stats, when you have someone looking at your stats, when you have weekly accountability calls with, Billy and his team, right, that he's built up, assembled, and trained, when you have that, it's like, there's no running anywhere, you know what I mean? Like, you can't hide, and this is such an important part, to me, this is the most important part of your business outside of your business. And honestly, I think it's on the same level, because the thing is, like, we all have the same 24 hours, right? It's just like, why does one person accomplish more than the other? They're working more efficiently, more effectively, and they probably have more energy, right? That's the thing. Like, everything you create in your life is because you have energy, and you put energy and time into that, right? In order to put that work, that effort, you need more energy, right? So that's why, as I said, that's why someone like me, I've gone to the point where I can literally work 4 hours a day and be making multiple millions a year, while someone else is working 12 hours a day and struggling to like make like 3K a month, right? Now imagine me at 4 hours, right, which I don't do. Now imagine me at 8 hours, right, with that same output, right? So that's why, I've even had people be like so baffled as to, why are you like, how have you accomplished that, how have you managed to have such a ridiculous growth curve? It's because I didn't just look at the business aspect of it, I looked at everything outside of it. Now, you work with pretty much exclusively online entrepreneurs, online entrepreneurs, digital marketers, stuff like that. Like that's pretty much your niche.
Yeah.
What are some other common mistakes, f-ups you see that people are making?
From a whole health perspective, or just from a sleep
perspective?
From
nutrition. I mean, we've talked a lot about sleep now. From nutrition, training, et cetera, et cetera.
So from there, the first mistake that most individuals make when I come into work with them in an online space is actually their food template in terms of meal timings and also in terms of frequency of eating. So most individuals think that eating healthy consists of eating 6 meals per day, starting from 6 in the morning, first thing, ramming some food in, maybe oats, fruit, yogurt, all of the above. Then from there, consuming 5 or 6 meals on top of that in order to ensure that their glycemic variability is controlled as such. That is not the case. So the individuals I work with, we implement an intermittent fasting protocol, primarily involving around a 16-8 fasting window. 16 hours fasting, 8 hours consuming meals. So in regards to how that correlates with your work block, what you would then do is you may train first thing in the morning if you get up at 6, then from there work in terms of your first work block until, let's say, 2 in the afternoon, 12, midday, whatever. Then from there, consume your first meal. At that point there, you've got the majority of your heavy or intense work done, with your glycemic variability staying really neutral in terms of insulin spikes and regulating that, which correlates with focus and output of work too. Then from there, consume your first meal. Then from there, go into a lighter work block as such. Then from there, maybe consume 1 more meal in the day. Now you may be thinking that's only 2 meals in a day as opposed to 6. My metabolism is going to be going out the window. What the hell am I thinking? My body composition is going to be all over the place. In terms of that aspect of things, that has been proved void in terms of science behind it, in terms of meal frequency. Actually, eating 2 meals per day can be more beneficial from a growth hormone standpoint and also from a perspective of glycemic variability, as I said, and regulating that. So you may experience, if you eat a meal, let's say first thing in the morning, and you have a conventional breakfast, you may experience a bit of a slump after that period of time. You may feel like your energy is low, your focus and your output is really poor. That's because your insulin levels are spiked and then they're now beginning to crash. We can prevent that by fasting and implementing that protocol as well.
Yeah, so, in that sense, so I've been doing intermittent fasting for quite a few years now. And the thing is, like, it's known as the thermogenic effect. Like, your body, it takes a lot of energy to take all that food and digest all that food, especially because in the first place, most people, without realizing, the moment you speak to Billy and his team, he'll be able to know in like literally 2 seconds, why you're flaring up, why you're having effects to these foods, et cetera, But like most people, let's just even put aside the fact that most people are eating stuff that they shouldn't be eating based on some sort of, based on their genetic predispositions.
Digestive health, gut health.
Yeah, exactly. Let's even put that aside, because the thing is, obviously, if you're putting junk into your system, or just stuff that your body is not predisposed to deal well with, and you don't know that, once again, you get a lot of your clients to take Viome, right?
Yeah, gut health testing kit.
Right, so I've taken Viome, I bought Viome for all of my employees, got them to take it all, and once again, that like, you don't know what you don't know. Like, some stuff came back on there that I was very confused with. I was like, I would have never known that, right? But let's put that aside. Just in general, digesting food takes so much energy. So the thing is, if you're waking up and the first thing you're doing is eating, what you think is to be a healthy breakfast, then energy and resources that would normally flow up to your brain, and your brain could use, because once again, your brain, I believe in terms of your total output, takes up like 20-25% of your total energy expenditure that day. Yeah. Rather than going there, it goes there, right? And that's not really what you want. So that's why, obviously, I do intermittent fasting. Most of your clients, if not all
of my clients implement it. And then also, to add to that, in terms of from a hormonal standpoint, first thing in the morning, there's an influx of cortisol, which is the hormone which can be waking you up and almost combating melatonin, which is your natural sleep hormone. So by then adding an element of, like, for example, carbohydrate consumption, your insulin spikes and your cortisol spiking, and they're like the Batman Joker. They're going to be battling against one another totally. So at that point there, you will feel very, very groggy first thing in the morning if you are to consume a meal first thing upon waking, especially if it's carbohydrate heavy. So in terms of breaking a fast, you then want to consume protein and fat sources as well, or consume something like bulletproof coffee.
Yeah, exactly. So there's that, and then obviously with lunch, I just have a more paleo-inspired diet. It's not a paleo diet per se, but for me, mainly my lunches are just salads, basically, pretty much all the time, and then the heavy carbs are left for dinner, right? So that's the way we do it, and 2 meals is non-issue at all.
No.
And apart from that, well, once again, as I said, there's just so many areas in your life, like even just like, even just taking a look at my bedroom, like Billy noticed, like, you know, this is stuff that and this is around like 9 months ago, 10 months ago. I mean, at this point, like my bedroom's optimized as hell, but you know, just even, well, actually pretty much everything's optimized.
Yeah, everything's optimized.
just ridiculous, just on another level. It's getting to the point now where I'm starting to feel like Iron Man.
Yeah.
You know, where it's like even the new Calm, like this thing that's come in a few days, like the thing costs like $5,000. It's nuts. And you know, I have the Earth Pulse and I have this and that. You know, it's getting to crazy. Yeah, it's getting to crazy levels, you know. But in terms of, you know, all the Juve, like all the weird, wacky stuff we're testing. But once again, that's me trying to go from 7 figures and multi-7 figures to 8 figures a year. So, the higher level you're trying to get to, the more crazy shit you kind of have to do and kind of have to try, right? And he's here along with me, and he's here along with all of his other clients, you know, whether they're trying to make like literally 8K a month or trying to make 300K a month, whatever the spectrum is, right? He's there to make sure that they can break through that ceiling and get to that next level. And in order to break through that ceiling and get to that next level, you need more energy, right? And that's, at the end of the day, that's what, you know, peak performance is. It's having more energy, more mental clarity, more capacity, et cetera, et cetera. So yeah, I mean, you know, we're doing crazy stuff at this point in terms of, you know, the new Calm, the Earth Pulse, the this thing, the that thing. But as I said, you know, back to my point, literally like even 9-10 months ago, I wouldn't have known this stuff. Like, you know, I literally, obviously I have the luxury of, as I said, you know, he's still or I'm still the only client he works with one-on-one in person. Obviously we live in London, so, you know, that's a aspect of that. But he walked in my bedroom and he just noticed like all these electrical plugs and stuff like that, right? And he was like, dude, do you not realize that, you know, have you not thought about the EMF, right? And I'm like, like I kind of knew that. I was like, what the fuck are you on about? Like, I mean, like I kind of knew that, like, you know, the electrical charge was bad, and I knew that, you know, you should put your phone on airplane mode, blah blah, this and that thing. But I'm like, why does it really matter that much? And he was like, no, that's really gonna F up your sleep, right? And I was like, okay, cool, right? So we rejigged a couple of things around. I removed most electronics. The tools that I do have in there, for example, the Earth Pulse, that thing has like the special wiring around it, so it literally emits 0 EMF. Just stuff like that, right? And once again, because he tangibly tracks, you know, he's not just like him and his team aren't just like some coaches that like will just like sit there and be like, oh, I think you should do this, blah blah. It's like, no, literally every week, you know, you sit with his team and it's like, we do this, we test it, we see if it works, both in terms of your nutrition, in terms of your training, in terms of your sleep. We test it, and if it works, we keep pressing and we make it better and more efficient and more optimized. And, you know, that was a perfect example right there, where every night I saw probably a 5-point increase in my sleep just after we implemented that, right? To the point where last night, what was my sleep score?
95. 95. Yeah, yesterday was a high school.
Yeah, it was. Right? And like 90s are very, very common for me, you know, not so much in the past 3 weeks, because
not so much the past 3 weeks,
because we've been traveling and having fun and stuff like that. But, you know, that's a very, very common sleep score for me, is, you know, to consistently hit in the 90s, right? And it wasn't always like that. You know, when we first started working, it was 70s, 72, 75, et cetera, et cetera.
And also, I'd add to that, the last point that I'd make with that being said is also establish your sleep start time, end times around social life as well. Because obviously we're not just individuals who work 24/7. You wouldn't be healthy if you were doing that, nor would you be happy necessarily. So from there, in terms of sleep start and end times, most individuals I work with at first will do the 5:30 wake up.
That's actually such a key point, because the thing is, it's like, you know, even like a lot of personal trainers, like, you know, outside of peak performance, like personal trainers you work with, like we even had you know, with one of my good friends, he started working with a personal trainer, and the personal trainer would work him so hard that he'd get home and he'd need to sleep. And it's like, the thing is, us as entrepreneurs, we're not going to the gym more than likely. I don't know about some of you guys, but like, I'm not going to the gym to get a 6-pack or get like super hench. If that can happen, awesome, right? But that's not my main focus. My main focus is to go into the gym, wake myself up, give myself some more energy. And the thing is, you know, when you have like a regular personal trainer or a regular sort of coach, you know, they don't understand what the end goal is. Whereas if you have like, you know, the one thing I love about you and your company and the way your team does is like, you know what the goal is. You know that for me, like even stuff you know that I'm not going to do. Like we even just talked about like shakes. Yeah. Like for me, like I'm not, like I don't care about growing my biceps like an extra 0.3 inches if that means that like I have to remember to have a protein shake, and like I don't like protein shakes. Like, so the thing is like, that's very, very important.
Yeah.
Is like the fact that, working with you, it's like you keep my lifestyle in mind, which I really appreciate. You keep my lifestyle in mind, and that's why even, you can tell them about how we moved from 5:30 and then...
Yeah, exactly. So that's what I was going to say. So when we first started working together, Iman's wake time was 5:30. So I was often here by 5:30. I'd be getting up at 5. We'd then go straight to the gym by 6, finish by 7. Now, what we found in terms of keeping that consistent was it's very hard to do so, primarily from a social perspective here. So,
well, we kept it consistent. It's just getting good sleep consistently.
Yeah, increasing the performance in that regard. We found that it was very much flatlining in that point. So
and it was really hard to get 9 hours, because the thing is, if I wanted to wake up at 5:30, I would literally have to go to bed at what, 8:30?
Yeah, 8:30.
Yeah, like
in the summer.
Yeah, it's
like,
just,
come on. And also as an 18-year-old guy, very, very difficult.
Yeah.
So from there, in terms of assessing that, we then moved our sleep end time back further. So now it's actually 7:20 in the morning.
Well,
previously it was 6:20, now it's 7:20. So we actually made that step forward as well.
Yeah.
So in terms of then understanding that, and from a social perspective, if for example Iman has a business dinner or a social dinner he has to attend to, if he gets back at let's say 9 o'clock, at that point he can still adhere to his night protocol, his evening routine, and then from there still optimize his sleep and efficiency, as opposed to compromising that by thinking, I want to grind hard, get ahead of the curve, be in the gym by 6 in the morning, which is a common attitude carried by most individuals in this space. So yeah, that's really important to assess as well.
Yeah, you want to implement all this stuff and get the low hanging fruit, but you also don't want it to be like, if you if it feels too tough, too draining, like we're not gonna do it. You know what I mean? And yeah, especially with that wake time, moving it from 6:30, and then now, as I said, we literally moved it from waking up at 6:20, because 6:20 was fine, because even to get 9 hours of sleep, I'd have to be in bed at 9:20. Sometimes I would have dinners, and 7.5 hours is totally fine, right? So I knew that if I had dinner, I get 7.5. 7.5 is still fine. I can still even hit the 90s easily with a 7.5 hour sleep time. But now that it's summer and it's like literally it's like light out at like 9:30 or whatever, it's just
it's ridiculous.
Yeah, it just means I could never get 9 hours sleep. So we even made the decision like a couple days ago, I'm gonna start waking up at 7:30, because that way it gives me the option to have 9 hours of sleep, like legitimately.
And with that being said, sunlight being a precursor to obviously then actually falling asleep as well, and obviously disruption with that being said as well. So assessing those variables is very, very important, and make sure you're happy with actually getting up at a certain time as well, because obviously in terms of this process, enjoying the process is very much important to you without having too much resistance in terms of facing it. Otherwise you're not going to adhere to the protocol. No matter who you're working with, whether it be myself, for example, in the online space, it'll be very much impossible to do so. So assessing that, being honest with yourself, very, very much important too.
Yeah, well, I don't want this video to drag out too long. We've literally just touched really just the tip of the iceberg. Like there's, I'm just thinking back to potentially a list of 20 or 30 things that we've actually implemented, whether that be paid, free, like literally small, just tiny little changes, moving a couple things around, like 20, 30 things that have literally taken me from like, my output being average when I look at the other entrepreneurship space to an output that is like, that I'm very proud of at this point, right?
Ridiculous. Let's be honest.
And as I said, it's because I've been able to have someone there that's constantly testing, optimizing, in the same way that I sit down with my team and we're testing and optimizing every single part of the business, both for the agency and the education company. You guys know what I'm like. If there's a leaky hole, it pisses me off so much. If there's a 3% inefficiency at any part of my business, I'm raging hard, right? Yet I don't have the time and attention to, I don't have the mental capacity to take that same, effort and then apply it into, the other areas of my life, nutrition, sleep, blah, blah. I can do it decently, but when you have a dedicated person for, for you to do that, and a team. And also the cool thing is now you're literally like, you got like 12, 13, 14, 15 clients you're working with. And these aren't entrepreneurs, making like 2K a month. These are entrepreneurs literally clearing, some of them 8K a month, some of them 50K a month, 100K a month, 200, 300 G's a month.
Yeah.
These aren't like small, these aren't small players. These are heavy hitters, So the thing is, he has that knowledge. He knows what works and what doesn't work, and his team literally has the data to know what works and what doesn't work. So as I said, this is really just the tip of the iceberg. If you want to learn more, I strongly encourage you. I'm gonna leave the case study link down below. I think that's like 25-30 minutes.
Yeah, that's
25-30 minutes. That'll give you some more information. And then I strongly urge you guys, hop on a call. I've referred so many of my clients to Billy. So guys, sorry that cut out at the last minute, but anyway, as I was saying, I've referred so many of my clients, so many of my, trusted peers. I've referred, obviously, Billy works with not only me, but my team as well. And yeah, as I said, I strongly urge you to go check out that case study, book in a call with Billy, and start taking the actions, because every idiot has the tricks, the tactics, the hacks. Like every other schmuck has that thing. It's not it's not like you have some sort of special information. So I feel as though some people think that they're gonna learn something from someone or a coach or something, and it's just gonna be some special information. No,
pot of gold. Yeah.
It's pot of gold. No. Very rarely that's the case, but most of the time it really is just bringing everything back to the fundamentals. So look, if you're looking to make 20K a month, 50K a month, 100K a month, 200K a month, 300K a month, like some of Billy's clients, 500K a month, $1 million a month, then this is the sort of stuff you need to be focusing on. Also focusing on the actual, everything else in the business, also focusing on how to drive your business forward, implementing new systems, et cetera. Also looking at the tricks, the hacks, what's working right now, what's not working right now, but always remembering that it comes down to the core, the fundamentals, the stuff that Billy and I have been working on for a long time at this point. So yeah, ladies and gentlemen, do you have anything else to say?
No, that's all good. I look forward to seeing you guys on a call myself.
Yep. So guys, ladies and gentlemen, hope you enjoyed this. On behalf of Billy Harris, the Protector.
Do you go for a fist bump? You know how I do.
Every morning after the gym, he goes for a fist bump. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, hope you enjoyed this video, and see you guys in the next one.